Hello and welcome back to the garage. Today I'm going to show you how I replace a rear pinion seal on a 7 1/4 rear end on this 1989 Dodge Dakota. Before you even get started, there's a few things you're going to want to do. Obviously, jack it up, jack stands, and then block your front and remove your drive shaft. That part is already finished for this, so you should have, if you have an 8-foot bed like mine, I don't know what the single cab short beds are like. You have 2 straps on the back of your U-joint, and that slides off the front half of the drive shaft at the carrier bearing. So that part's already done. So then we will climb underneath and I'll kind of show you what I think to do from there. So here we are under the truck. This is obviously the U-joint side of it. I don't know what you call this piece with the straps. But what I do to start out with is I'm going to count how many threads that I have here. Then I'm going to make marks on this to tell me where everything was exactly. So if you're somebody who knows rear ends, there's a certain amount of preload, I think that's the right term, pressure basically, pulling that gear in there against, and there should be shims and everything else spacing everything out. So the correct way to do it is not necessarily like this, but this is the way that I do it, just because this is a vehicle that I don't drive too far. The rear end's going to be fairly inexpensive if something were to happen. It's not the biggest deal in the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count the threads. I'm going to mark where everything currently lies. That way, whenever I put this all back together, everything should be pretty damn close to where it was. Now, I'm not going to get my gauges out and go to the rear end and tear the center section out and check all the tolerances. That's probably the right way to do it, but I'm not going to do that with this vehicle. It's just a small drip. My plan is to just replace the seal, blow out the breather hose, because if you have this happen, like this thing only drips whenever it gets hot out. My assumption is the breather hose is blocked, most likely because of a mud dauber got in there and made a nest. So don't be afraid to also look at why did this thing start leaking. I mean, this could also be because this truck's 30 some years old. That's not a crazy assumption either. But just make sure you look into it so you don't replace this and then have something happen, you have to replace it again. Like I said, if this was my daily driver, I probably would not be doing this. But for what this vehicle is, no more miles than it sees in a year. Say it gets an oil change once or twice a year. I'm not worried about it. Plus, I mean, I keep up with this thing really well. I check the fluid, and I'm not worried about that. So, that's just kind of a disclaimer there for anybody. If you're going to drive this thing across America, in a pinch, I would do this every day of the week. If I was actually going to build something, put good money into it, probably wouldn't recommend this. So, kind of forgot to start recording. Already took off the nut. So, that just all pulls off. There's the seal. I better get my drain pan. Also, make sure you don't lose that nut. That's pretty important, to be honest. I think to probably lose more fluid than one normally would, just because I do have the rear end jacked up and the front end's not. So there might be more oil coming out than what normally would, but that's okay. Seal's right here. I'll just get a seal removing tool real quick. Get that baby knocked out. Once I ensure the new one is the same, that's a very important part of that. What I want to do is I just hold the seal up backwards and we'll just kind of see how she looks. That seal actually looks like it was installed backwards, which is weird. It's definitely a different seal. This one has to go in like this, so I'm probably gonna just clean around on there a little bit more. So luckily I got brake clean, and let's just scrape around the edge and see what we look like here. So you guys saw me start pulling out this seal. We're not finishing it. I was luckily able to get my seal puller in here and just pop it, and came out after a little other persuasion. So now to get the new one in, wherever it's sitting, what I'm going to do is, I don't have the greatest way of filming this either, obviously. I'm going to set that in there after I wipe it off. And I've got this old piece of round metal, and I'm just going to use that and just tap it on in there. Yeah, just work it around and tap it in till everything's up tight. So I'm going to do that real quick. Really, it'll be done for replacing the seal. So let's get that done. Once you got it in there good, just tap it around. Just tap it around. Make sure she's flush the whole way. Then go back together for this thing. You can't really see my marks very well, but I can tell right where it's at. That was to the right. I guess passenger side. And the washer. And then the nut. Now, I would highly recommend, if somebody does this part, put some thread locker on there. Am I going to? No. But you should. You definitely should, because this is kind of an important aspect of your vehicle. Is your rear end. I mean, but I'm going to work on torquing that down a little bit more. I know I'm pretty close to where I need to be with it. But, yeah. It's pretty much how you change your rear pinion seal. Hi, me there from the future, interjecting again. I hated the way that I finished out this video, to be honest with you. But essentially, that's how you change out that rear pinion seal. It's not too crazy. It's a slight pain. Getting the seal out, I think, and putting the seal in, oddly enough, the entire part of replacing the seal, I think is honestly the worst part, as to taking off the drive shaft, all that stuff. It's really not too bad. If you're not sure how to do all that, hopefully I uploaded my other video first of how to replace the U-joint in the drive shaft. If so, in there it's pretty step-by-step how to remove the drive shaft. Like I said, it's pretty simple, where you slide it off the splines and then pull the 2 straps with the 4 bolts. I think they were, I don't remember what size they were, but I know I told you the bolt size in the other video. But yeah, it's pretty easy, to be honest. As long as you're patient, just take your time and clean everything up. One big thing I did have to watch for, which is why at first I actually had troubles getting the the seal to start, is inside there. I had a rust ridge the whole way. Once I cleaned that up a little bit, with whether it's scraping with the screwdriver a little bit, just to break the little shit off, and then kind of came in there with a little bit of emery cloth, sandpaper, and just skimmed it a little. Perfect. Now, obviously, I didn't want to hog anything out to where it wasn't going to seal, but I think it's going to be all right. So, like I said, make sure you torque everything like it's supposed to. Make sure you thread locker where you should. But I think that'll be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Till the next one.